Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are going to continue with inquiry based learning. We have known the definition, the benefit, and the strategies of inquiry based learning. Today we are going to start talking about form and level of inquiry based learning. We should know that to be engaged in inquiry-based learning, student must do the inquiry by themselves. Teacher cannot do the inquiry for the student. Therefore, instruction must be centered on the learner. Inquiry-based learning, in fact, is a learner-centered strategy. It is active learning approach. It begins with question followed by investigating solution, creating new knowledge as information is gathered and understood, discussing discoveries and experiences, reflecting on newly found knowledge. This is inquiry. As a teacher, you must understand that inquiry based learning is not a technique in teaching, but it is a process of learning that it has the potential to increase the intellectual engagement of your student. For the student, the learner in inquiry based learning is allowed to develop their questioning, to develop their question, research, and communication skills. They are also allowed to collaborate with outside classroom. They are allowed to solve problem or create solution to tackle real life problem and issues, and also they are allowed to participate in creation and development of better ideas and new knowledge. Teacher in this approach serve as facilitator of learning and provider of information. Therefore, the goal of inquiry based learning is that the goal of inquiry based learning, the goal of instruction are not only to acquire the domain content knowledge but to learn how to think like inquirer and how to go about theorizing, solving problem, searching, and transforming information in a computer assisted learning environment. When computers are used in inquiry based learning, students adopt the role of scientists, engage in scientific inquiry by constructing hypotheses and the experiment to evaluate the hypothesis they created, thereby constructing knowledge by themselves. In this lesson, we are going to consider only four different perspectives of what form of inquiry are. Number one, Purpose 2014 mentioned that there are four different forms of inquiry, which include confirmatory inquiry, structured inquiry, guided inquiry, and open inquiry. According to purpose, confirmatory inquiry. In confirmatory inquiry, students are given both questions and method to which the end result is already known, but the student will just be through the inquiry process in order to confirm a certain process, a certain scientific process. Number two, structured inquiry. In this approach, students are given questions and the method. The goal is to provide explanation that is supported by evidence gathered during the investigation process. Number three, guided inquiry. According to purpose, the students are given only the questions. The goal is to design the investigation process and also report their finding. Then the last one is the open inquiry. According to him, students will be allowed to form their own question, design their own method, carry out their own investigation through the method they created, and also report their findings. This is the second one. Therefore, according to this form of inquiry, different form of inquiry, the level of inquiry is increasing based on the level of engagement of a teacher and also level of engagement of a student. Confirmatory inquiry has higher engagement of a teacher or involvement of a teacher in the lesson, while open inquiry has the lowest involvement of a teacher in a lesson. Number two, the second perspective is Spronkin, Smith, and Walker, 2010. They classify inquiry into three forms. They said there is only structured inquiry, guided inquiry, and open inquiry. Number three, Dana and Yandel Hoppe, 2014. They presented inquiry in terms of questioning, designing method, and interpretation of result. According to them, they said structured inquiry is where a teacher confronts their learners with a research question coupled with method to be used, which are solely independently charged for interpretation of finding. A guided inquiry where learners are charged with determination of methods of investigation and interpretation of the finding, while often open inquiry also is where the teachers give the learners more liberty to come up with their own questions, determine the methodology, and interpret the finding. While international perspective, internationally, the New York educational reform emphasized that inquiry be an imperative part of curriculum, and that the kind of inquiry instruction that promote constructivist construction of knowledge and inquiry based learning should be included. This include whenever a teacher is including or is engaging in inquiry based learning, the teacher should include either problem solving, discovery learning, guided inquiry, project based learning, experimentation, hands on activity in science, laboratory based learning, in depth learning, acquiring of depositions of thoughtfulness through dialogue, investigation, research done alone, or collaborative learning. While in United Kingdom, International Baccalaureate of Education 2015 directed that chemistry instruction should only be taught through inquiry based learning, which is executed in either inquiry itself or in action or in reflection. Um, the this indicated that the act of implementing inquiry-based learning in classroom is flexible and can suit variety of comfort level. Secondary school teacher can implement inquiry-based in various options. There, in a summary, uh, Chang 2016 summarized the form of inquiry as confirmatory inquiry. The students are given both questions and the method to which the result is already known. Structured inquiry, students are given questions and the method. The goal is to provide an explanation that is supported by evidence gathered during the investigation. Number three, guided inquiry, students are given only the question. The goal is to determine the method and investigate and report. Number four, open inquiry. The student form their own questions, determine their own method, carry out an investigation, and report their finding. All these forms of inquiry, or all form of this inquiry instruction depict learning from experience to understand the phenomenon as well as curriculum subject matter, and not simply the recall of simple facts or scientific concepts. However, an open inquiry is more advanced and depicts the highest level through which learner can engage in investigating chemistry phenomena. Open inquiry require higher order thinking and usually has students work directly with the concept, material, and equipment, and so on. It is the most complex level of inquiry based learning. Teacher define In this approach, teacher define the knowledge framework in which student inquiry will be conducted, but allow the student to select a wide variety of inquiry questions and approach. Thus, students are engaged in continuous decision making throughout each stage of inquiry. This is inquiry. Open inquiry stimulate and reflect the type of research and the experimental work that is performed by the scientist. Therefore, it demands higher order thinking capability. Research shows that students who participate in an open inquiry demonstrate ownership and responsibility for determining the purpose of investigation and the questions to be investigated, as a scientist will do by themselves.